Hey everybody, Steve here with an AFR special report regarding my review on Soccer City. As you can see, I have Soccer City set up in front of me. I had some technical snafus yesterday. So during the time that I was supposed to be filming, I was dealing with some technical issues. And so instead of rushing out a review today before I leave for the weekend, I just wanted to put out a sample of play so you guys can get sort of a feel of what this game is all about. And then I'm going to plan on doing a full review sometime next week after I get back. So sit back, relax, and check out this sample turn of Soccer City. Okay, so let's run through a sample turn of Soccer City. Each turn is split into the attacking turn and the defending turn. The attacking turn has 4 phases. The defensive turn has 2 phases. And we're in the middle of a match here. The red team, which is the away team, currently has the ball. They've moved into their opponent's side of the pitch, and we'll start at the beginning of their turn. Phase 1 is the pass or advance phase. Each player will have 4 ball cards in their hand at all times. After you play one, you'll draw another one, and they come in 3 different varieties. There's a short, medium, and a long pass and advance. The difference between a pass and an advance, if you use it as a pass, you're trying to pass it to another player, or you're trying to pass it to an empty spot on the pitch. And an advance means that the active dribbler is trying to advance with the ball. And the difference between them is how far you can move the ball and the player. So for our sample here, we're going to do a short advance. And what that means is, we'll play the card here beside the ball deck, and the player will move forward 1 hex, and the ball will move with him 1 hex. Now the ball deck is also the clock of the game, so when this deck runs out, that means that the half is over. So now we'll move on to the second phase of the attacking turn, which is the attacking action. Each player will always have 3 attacking cards. So these cards are dual use. You'll see in the top corner, this is used when you initiate a face-off against a defender who's 1 hex away from you, which we'll show you in just a minute. And then the top right is if you use it as a tactical move. So here's just a quick overview of all the tactical moves, and I'll go into detail on some of these when I do the full review. But for our sample here, we're going to initiate a face-off to try to get around that defender and possibly get a shot on goal. So we'll announce to the other player that we're initiating a face-off. If you had more than 1 defensive player around your offensive player, you would say which one you're challenging. But for our sample here, only the player number 5 is within 1 hex. So we'll select which card we're going to play. And at the same time, the defensive player will choose what he's going to play. So each player has 3 defensive action cards, and these are a similar setup to the attacking action. They have 2 different ways that they can be used, either as a defensive tactical move or as part of a face-off. So the defensive player will decide what he wants to do, and he's going to use this pressure as it has the highest amount of points. Now the face-off is going to be won by the player who has the highest point total between their card and then their innate abilities. Each player has a jersey number, and in general, the way it works is the lower numbered jerseys have higher defensive points, lower offensive points, or attacking points, and the higher numbers have just the opposite. They have more attacking points and less defensive points. In our case here, number 9 is a striker. He has 4 attacking points. And number 5 is a defensive midfielder, and he has 3 defensive points. All right, so we're all set the blue player is going to play a pressure defensive action, and our red team decides that they're going to play this roulette attacking action. So both players would put their cards down, reveal at the same time, and the first thing you're going to do is compare and see if either action automatically wins. So you'll see down here that a pressure automatically blocks a carousel and sombrero move, whereas the roulette automatically beats a pull move. So that's not the case for either of them, so then we'll move on to the total points. As I said, the blue player, the number 5, the defensive midfielder, has a total of 3 defensive points. You add that to his card for a total of 7. And the red team is going to have a total of 8, 4 for this, and then 4 for the striker. So the red team would win. You look down at the bottom of the card, and it tells you what happens when this action is successful. In this case, we're going to swap the attacker and defender positions, and then the attacker is going to move 1 additional hex forward. So the blue and red player will swap hexes, and then the striker gets to move 1 additional spot forward. Then both players would discard these to the discard pile, but you'll notice at the bottom of the attacking action card there's this red ribbon that says EF, and that stands for external factor. So there's a deck of cards called external factor. Anytime you play an action card and it's successful, you draw the top card from that deck and see what happens. So in this case, we draw the top card and we get the on fire. And this says that it's applicable only if you are on your attacking turn, which the red team is, and it's going to last until the blue team takes control of the ball. And when we play a shot on goal, we'll get the special bonus even if we don't fulfill the conditions. And we're going to find out what a shot on goal is in the next part of the turn. So the third phase of the attacking turn is the shot on goal. This can only be attempted if you're in the shot on goal area, which you'll see there is a light outline on the field here, and so your player has to be inside that to attempt a shot on goal. Thanks to that successful face-off, our striker was able to get around the defender, move forward, and he is now in position to take a shot on goal. So each player is going to have 2 shot on goal cards, and so the red player will announce that he's going to take a shot on goal, and he's going to decide what he wants to do. And so these cards, you'll see, they have a point value on top here, as well as down at the bottom it has a bonus that you'll add if you meet the condition. So this one, the shot on goal, you can get a +1 if it's outside of the penalty area, which is this solid white line, thicker white line here around the goalie's area. But this shot on goal card says that if we get +2 if it's outside the penalty area and we're unmarked after a successful face-off. So in this case, the striker, he just won a successful face-off, and unmarked means that there's nobody within 3 hexes from him to the goalie area. So he has a nice clear shot, so he is unmarked. So he's gonna choose this one because it's worth more, and he gets the bonus, although with the on fire, he would get that bonus regardless. So you add these two, 6 + 2 is 8, and then you add his attacking value again for a total of 12. So now the goalie gets a chance to save. He is in his goalie influence area. There's another outline here, so he's going to be able to try to make a save on that shot. There's another deck of cards called Goalkeeper Save, and we'll just draw the top card and see what happens. So in this case, we get the cat. You'll see the total point value that it's worth up there. You'll add that to the goalie's defensive value, which the goalies have a defensive value of 4. So 9 + 4 would be 13, which is 1 more than the shot on goal. So he would make a save. The blue team would take control of the ball. Let's look at another example of what can happen If he drew this card, which is the majestic save, and its point total is 8, you'd add that to his defensive value of 4 for 12. That would be a tie, and in the case of a tie, you would go down to the bottom corner, and that would tell you what would happen. In this case, the red team would get a corner kick. If you drew a card, say we drew this diving save, and 7 plus 4 is 11, so that would be less than the shot on goal, and that would mean a successful goal. The red team would score. And then finally, what could happen is you'll see that some of these have a special that they automatically save against a certain type of shot. So we took a spiral shot and got the bonus. So if he had drawn this card, normally it would not make a save because it would only be a total of 10, but this one does a special save, and then it tells you what happens. So it would go to the corner, and then you would move on from there. All right, and so if the shot had been successful, then you would reset. Everyone would go back to their starting positions. Both teams would get to reset their players. But normally at an end of a turn, if there wasn't a shot on goal, the fourth phase of the attacking turn is repositioning. And that means that every player who didn't move during the previous 3 phases would get to move 1 hex on the board anywhere the player would like. And that's the end of the attacking turn. The defensive turn only has 2 phases. They get to play a defensive action card, and works the same as the attacking action. They can, if they are 1 hex away from the player with the ball, they can initiate a face-off. Otherwise, they can use the card for the defensive tactical move, which is detailed here on this little cheat sheet. And again, I'll go into more detail when I do the full review on this game. And then the second phase of the defensive action is the team repositioning. So that same thing. Any defensive player who didn't move during the first phase gets to move 1 hex on the board. And then the turn would go back to the attacking team, and you repeat until the ball deck runs out. All right, guys, so there you go. There's a sample turn of Soccer City. I hope you guys were able to get a good feel for the game just from that sample turn. As you can see, there is a lot of strategy involved in this game. I really only touched on some very basic ideas with the game. As I said, I will do a full review upcoming. Hopefully I should get it out next week once I get all my little technical issues straightened out. But I hope you enjoyed this. I hope it was something you want to check out more. I'll post links to the Soccer City website below. They've actually put out some instructional videos on the game if you want to learn a little bit more before my review comes out. Otherwise, enjoy, have a great weekend, and until next time, I'll see you after further review.